And girls, welcome back to the channel and another series of streams for Black Eyes as Germany. I'm recording this in fall of 2025 and not the happiest period in the world, but for Black Eyes version 9.1.7 it's okay. I had corrupted saves from an earlier playthrough that I had to end, and then when I restarted, my game or the save or the Black Ice version crashed right at the start, so I had to reinstall and I didn't play for a while. But now I've gotten as far as April 1940 as Germany again, and it's a fairly successful run through. Could have been better, I made some mistakes, and instead of playing for hours and hours to get up to here, which is basically more or less the same every playthrough you have, I thought I'd take this fall morning in Sweden and have a coffee and explain to you how my Germany looks in April of, or soon May of 1940. So strap in. There has been some challenges. Let's go through the stats. I don't know if you can zoom in on the stream and pause the video and check my numbers. But as you can see here, I'm down to 370,000 manpower, and I have, how much do I have in the field? My army is 1.7 now, and I have 350,000 in training, so I have quite a large army. I do know that the goal of Black Ice is to have as much mechanized tank forces, hard forces that suffer fewer losses, and air support with that, so high tech. And infantry really isn't to prefer. Sure, you can use it, but you suffer a lot more losses. And whatever I do, I usually tend to get a little bit larger infantry part of our army than I like, and fewer tanks. So I'm struggling with learning to balance that. And but that is my, so I guess my army is quite large. This playthrough, I'm down to 8% food. Yes, I had quite a few export food events in the pre-war sessions. I think 3 or maybe even 4, and they do each give 25 political power, so I'm greedy and grabbing them and thinking, I can always restock. I've never been this low. I think I've stayed around 20%. So I actually had to research at least one technology for food production and import even from Russia, just to, because I was red and 5%. So I can't tell you exactly about my industrial base, but I think for spring 1940, 734 factories is very good. I'm at almost 300 military factories. So let's go through how my build policy has been from 1936. As usual, I built infrastructure and civilian factories in 1936. Nothing controversial about that. Then I slowly focus over to military factories to take advantage of the MIFO builds, which makes them very, very fast to build. Now they're down to 29%. I think they're almost 50% during peacetime. And that helps with building up military stockpiles before the war. Then in 1938, you slowly go over to building a couple of oil, fuel, and rubber refineries, because otherwise when the war starts, you're gonna find yourself on very low, not stockpiles, but your production. And you need oil and rubber for your high-tech production, air and tanks. So in 1939, I kind of went all into these productions, but then I found myself running into problems. I had to start building engine factories, so I built 4, 5, maybe even 6 engine capacity to increase my tank and air production. So that, and then of course we have conquered Poland and the Benelux countries, France, and then now very recently I declared war on Denmark. So that's why the high number. So the war went like this: a historical declaration of war in late August in 1939 into Poland, and I did very well in Poland. I took it with very few losses, and it didn't take long. Then I smacked the Netherlands out of the war quite easily, and I was even very successful in Belgium this time, and I went after them immediately after Poland, so in late fall, early winter, November of 1939. I managed to send my best medium tank divisions, the strongest ones, through Luxembourg and into southern Belgium here, and I didn't quite get to cross the river, but I encircled a large part of the Belgian army in these pesky forests. And of course I was heading up from the Netherlands here in the north, but I made an encirclement here, and I have struggled to do that. I haven't really committed strong armored forces in the south, but only like a few fast exploitation forces, and once they never, you can never grab free provinces in Black Ice. I'm not sure about vanilla Hearts of Iron any longer, but I had to fight my way through, and since I had strong and very fast panzer divisions in the south, I made an encirclement. Anyways, so I took out Belgium less painfully than what you usually do. I only suffered, it doesn't matter, a few losses in Belgium, and I took out the pesky cities Antwerp and Brussels. So I was thinking, oh, this is going great, where it's winter and you don't get a lot of bad weather effects in the west, so you know, I'm good. But France is so strong in Black Ice. As you can see here, along the border, they have a strong line of forest and then a river and a city. And these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a very narrow front, and France had easily 110 divisions sitting up here. That is like, okay, they need to cover the Maginot as well, but it was thinly held. So I saw up to a dozen divisions around in Valenciennes here, and around 6 to 8 divisions in the rest of the provinces. So it was World War One. It was impossible to do any tactical maneuvering or anything. I don't know what I could have done. And of course the Brits and the French, they have around 2,500 airplanes, so there's no way you can outfight them in the air. So they have their defensive, strong defensive terrain, decent troops, but in very high numbers. So what I had to do was take my strongest divisions, use the staff office plan, build up as fast as I could, full planning bonus, and just slug through one open ground province at a time with my strongest divisions. And finally I got to clear, and I sneaked my way through the coast and south, the Schlieffen plan around Paris, south of Paris, and then I took out the coastline out here to Brest and Cherbourg, and I was even heading down here towards Bordeaux when Paris finally fell. And it fell maybe in March 1940, so time-wise it takes a long time, but I suffered so many losses from having to fight that hard with infantry because I didn't have enough tanks, as usual. Now I taken out France with less than half of these losses. So even though I did very well in the two first countries, France, and I had spies for intelligence gathering, which helps a little tiny bit, but and I also had I had researched the cryptology. I had revealed intelligence going when I launched my offensive. Okay, I'm just gonna remove that. So I did, as far as I can tell, what I think I did was I was kind of out of shape after such a strong rush here. Maybe I should have even fallen back, or yeah, I don't know. The terrain up here is horrible. I would ask the Black Ice developers to actually nerf France a little bit. Experienced players can take it out, but it's so painful, and it's kind of a coin flip whether you're gonna suffer a lot of losses. My goal is, for the next time I play Germany, is to build even more tanks, less infantry, more tanks, because you suffer fewer losses. Anyway, sorry for rambling. You know, I like to talk a lot, but I took out France 2 months ago or something like that, so quite early. The good news is, though, that I was quite successful with my collaboration spy activities. And as you can see here on F8, you can see my what you call it, compliance is over 40%, both in France and in Poland. So that should explain the high. If you don't reach this number of factories in early 1940, it's because you don't have the reorganized workforce 40% bonus, which gives you 5% extra local factories. So production-wise, we're doing good, but I suffered too many losses manpower-wise. You could say something like that. Do you want to see the stockpiles? You can freeze the video now. You can see I have some rather insane levels of 50,000 infantry equipment and 60,000 field uniforms. So I have a bunch of old crap. I mean, you always get a lot, but I think this playthrough, my stockpiles of captured equipment, because I went in early and maybe the AI didn't have time to build enough forces to empty their stockpiles, I captured more than I'm used to, which is good because this time along I'm gonna just send so much World War I stuff to Italy and use their manpower pool. They'll starve in Africa. Whatever, I'm getting ahead of myself. So that is the war, that is the industry. I do have severe troubles feeding this large industry. As you can see here, my energy consumption is at 109%. Yes, there are a few techs that will improve the situation, but I haven't had time to research yet. But I think I have more industry than probably ever before because I never seen my energy level being up at as high as 109%. What happens when you have 109% is that you, let me see here, is it under trade? Yeah, under trade you can go to the energy window and you can see here that I have put red lowest priority on naval production, which means because of the 9% extra of energy, I have only 23% of my shipyards operating. So I'm punishing my naval production quite severely because, you know, a few more subs here and there. But of course I am building now 1, 2, 3, 4 as an emergency policy. I'm building 4 power plants that will take this down, and then I will research. So over time, I guess you know, the German High Command, logistics office, they just, oh, that's a lot of Polish and French factories. We can't really feed it. So build structure, yeah. I have not increased my manpower production anything at all this playthrough. Okay, let's go through production even more. As you can see here, I'm up to almost 80 factories on airplane production. That's the overall summary. If you want to freeze frame here and check out exactly what I'm building, you can see I'm on 60 fighters, which is it's a very good number. I usually struggle to get up to 50, maybe even 55. This playthrough comfortably sitting at 60 fighters, and even then 19 on specialist bombers, naval, long range scouting. You know, I like to build fiddly, chrome, realistic, detailed Air Force and use it. And, you know, I actually think it pays off. Of course, the fighters are the most important, but if you have some tactical bombers for strategic bombing, like taking out the airbase in Gibraltar or Malta, I don't know, taking out the Infram port after Operation Torch in 1942 in Casablanca. You know, small special operations with a bit of long-range bombers. I'm even building some junkers here. And naval bombers, it's the only way you can support Italy naval-wise in the Mediterranean. And I consider it the main theater of operation, so I am building naval bombers. Anyways, 79 on air. Tanks, I made a mistake. I kept on building Panzer 3Es, and now you say, why aren't you building Panzer 4s? They have higher soft attack. They are the tanks you want to build and research. Why are you wasting your time on Panzer 3s? The reason was that the Panzer 4 has a horrible reliability of 63%. So they're gonna break en masse. And I don't think the reason I failed so miserably in France is because I had a couple of medium tanks that were worse combat stat wise. They're not even that much better than the Panzer IIIe. The Panzer IIIe instead had a, I think, 77% reliability. So in the future, if I transfer them over to Stugs making self-propelled anti-tank destroyers, or use them as medium training tanks for when I train new tank divisions with their higher reliability, it's the better long-term investment. And I just recently moved over to Panzer IV 3Fs, which have 82% reliability. I am a huge fan of reliability because I want to suffer as few maintenance losses as possible long term. I am not... Combat stats is important, but for me, you know, I'm gonna keep these tanks for a lot longer than you are, even if they're slightly worse, if you don't go for this. So that is the reason why you see. Now, I have been researching ahead of time the Panzer IV-F, which is a 1941 tech. And we only have half a year to go. So sometime fall 1940, I'm gonna get these. And of course, it's gonna be my main tank. And it's gonna have high durability. Sorry for that little detail, but I have 59 tanks in production. I'm even keeping 10 on light tanks. Since these are kind of shit, you know, I keep building a couple of light tanks for now. And I don't have any tank production capacity, and I don't have the build capacity to build more tank factories, so there's no way I can have more than 59 tank factories. Let me know in the comments if you manage to get more tanks. Should I had instead focused more on tanks than air? I don't know. And then 160, you know, I'm not doing anything spectacular here with my production. Yeah, you should probably will criticize me for having one factory on the artillery prime mover. I don't know why I build them, because I never use them. I'm an idiot. I'm also building 3 factories now on heavily upgraded heavy anti-air guns. I guess I want to use them in the desert where UK will outnumber me in fighters no matter what I do. Yada yada. Nothing, you can freeze and check out. There's nothing special here. When it comes to naval builds, submarines. That's, you know, I did not bother with building cruisers and surface raiders. You can do that. It's totally viable. So instead I have 26 naval factories on submarines. And the only thing you do when it comes to submarines in Black Ice is that you increase your damage control and your subdivision from 2 to 4, and then you get a new version. You upgrade the stealth, because your starting submarines have no submarine stealth, and you put on an early submarine stealth. And once your Blom and Voss MIO is fully developed, you add that. And then after a while, in 1939, I think, you get improved engine and you upgrade them. So that's all the upgrades you're gonna do. That's all you need to do, and then you just keep spamming your D class. And here you can freeze frame and check out all their stats. So that's basically what I'm doing with production to naval wise. So I think we've gone through all the production, and now we're gonna get into showcasing our Army, Navy, and Air Force. We have 1.7 million in the field. You can pause the video and you can check. The only thing that's interesting here is that I have 1,000 Panzer IIIs in divisions, and I have 1,300 light tanks. As you can see here, we have a couple of French light tanks now in training. I have only 500 Panzer IIs built. So I guess this is what you see. This is the pre-war production Panzer IICs. They're not very good. Yeah. And I also have 300,000 in training. That's mostly infantry. So now I have 1 year to prepare the Barbarossa army, and my goal is of course to increase the tank production, but we'll see about that. Naval wise, I just show you my navy forces here. As you can see, after the fall of France, when the French navy goes away, I send out my, what do I have? Like 50 long-range medium submarines raiding all over the Atlantic, and they just started because France just fell. I have around 20 coastal submarines. I send them into the Mediterranean. They're sitting in an Italian port. And once Italy joins the war, I'm going to send them out and raid the British convoys. I have not sent them out to fight yet. And I have limited the Eastern and Western Med, and I'm going to try to stay in the Central Med here with my convoys. And so that's my navy. Nothing fancy. I just built a Scharnhorst and Gneisenau and whatever starting ships there was, and now I'm setting up to invade Norway. And I hope if you invade Norway now without Italy in the war, the entire Royal Navy is gonna be able to interfere. And I have planned an invasion into Narvik this time. That is very risky in my opinion, so I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll wait for a while and invite Italy and then invade Norway. Sure, you get a little bit of resources if you capture them early, but yeah, I don't want to lose my very small surface navy to the Royal Navy here. I have, of course, railed down into Italy and prepared my garrison. All these orange units here are small light artillery, let's call them a reinforced regiment, and I placed them all over in the ports. In Libya, on Sicily, on Sardinia, in Algeria, Morocco. So let's examine my Deutsche Afrika Corps. I've sent my these are my elite mechanized, first mechanized division, and I'm gonna use this and put a medal for supply consumption, which is important in North Africa. So I send down infantry divisions or units, and then once they are in Africa, I upgrade them so that the reinforcements go through supply convoys instead of moving the units themselves over the Mediterranean. Before you invite Italy, I never encountered British naval units here. All these troops I have been able to cross without any escorts or warfare, because I just don't see any British patrols down here. So that's a little handy tip for you. Take out France, send over whatever Deutsche Afrika Corps you want for North Africa, then invite Italy into the war. I find that's quite nifty. All right, Air Force, nothing super exciting. We have only 1,000 fighters. And that's it. I mean, but I do have, I guess, yeah. And a bit of old bombers. My Air Force isn't very strong. The reason is that I don't use fighters against France and Britain in France, because it's just a waste of airplanes, because they have so many, and the French Air Force goes away once you reach Paris anyways. But now I'm planning, with my 60 Air Force factories, I'm planning to fight the Brits as much as I can in North Africa, of course. I wonder what I've been forgetting to tell you what I did. I did grind up Guderian in Spain, so he reached level 6. And my second leader that I started to grind up after was Hell, which is an engineer and river crossing, what's it called again? Fortress engineer, yeah, and fortress buster. He's also a winter specialist for Russia. So with time, maybe he'll make an excellent winter warfare river crossing field marshal. Is he the best leader? No, but he has his specialities. I find that all other leaders can do fairly well, but this should be a better long-term leader grind for me early on. Maybe I should send him into Norway. And I plan to use Rommel in Africa for chrome and historical authenticity. When it comes to policies, I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything really interesting. I'm at 19% research speed after doing the Western knowledge here, which gives 6%. My ministers, nothing special. I haven't done anything fancy at all. I've increased 2 levels of wartime of war bonds. One after you capture Austria, or maybe even Poland. No, I think Austria. Austria, maybe after Czechoslovakia, so that you get a 270 days boost with the highest possible IC base. And then now I kicked off this after the fall of France with all these factories. So yeah, I'm getting a bit more production here. I am suffering from oil, food, and rubber shortages, and I have to import from Russia. I don't like feeding the Soviet Union civilian factories, but this playthrough, I don't have a choice. You know what? I probably could make a very vital choice here. I have not gone to export autarky. This would give me 10% more refined resources for my own production. I am considering, you know, that this is probably something I should do, because at the moment, let me see how many consumer goods, how many, you see, I'm using 66 traded goods. I probably need to take a save and check this out. I should probably have done that earlier. Yeah. I mean, look, this is a crazy amount of factories. Yeah, let's go with that. So 66 on trade. I am not proud of my trade deficits. Look, I'm buying up all the iron. I'm buying a lot of steel. You know, you can't get hold of a lot of rubber. I'm buying 4 factories of fuel from, well, then I'm bleeding. So I need to buy more Russian fuel. So manpower, I lost too much, and industry is, my high industry output is strained. Other than that, 1940 early spring, Germany is doing okay, and maybe I'll show you live how to capture Norway. I have a little bit of a trick. I ask for military access from Sweden. I place a couple of divisions here along the border. I airdrop or naval invade along the border, and then you can walk in from Sweden into here. You don't have a port, you don't get supply coming in from Sweden, so you need to capture Oslo and the port there before they run out. But I do have transports, air transports, that gives a little bit of transport there. But usually along with an invasion into Kristiansand, attacking from the west, and then you're moving from the border. And this time I'm gonna try to snag Narvik early to shorten the campaign. Risky, but I think that's gonna do it. Let me know in the comments what you think about Germany. What is well done, and what would you have done differently? And if there are any questions you have, you know, I'll try to answer them in the comments. So thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, don't forget to subscribe and like. Not only to support my channel, but also to make more Hearts of Iron for players to notice Black Ice, which is the way to play single player Hearts of Iron. I don't see how you can play vanilla at all. So see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.